We just talk about the most important thing.
Sure.
Tell me the Myspace story.
An albino penis envy here that was cultivated in LA.
What did you just call it? Albino penis envy?
Albino penis envy is
You
a
can't
strange...
just say that and move on like what?
It's not addictive the way that we do it.
I mean, the feeling of hearing my lady hype me up and all these visions I'm having, I'd be like, plug me back in.
Me and my girl had a little journaling journey. You should be like, you want to try this out, this new thing, let's journal.
How quickly did you lie?
Clap it in, clap it out. You guys know what this podcast is all about. There it is. We are here with a tech legend, Ted Skilla. And Kirill was here, a.k.a.
I'm always here. I'm furniture.
a.k.a. the Whisperer.
So, Ted, where the f*** does Skilla come from?
Skill is a nickname of a nickname of a nickname. So my real name is actually Tej. My last name is Dhanik. So I changed my name when I was 9 years old. I lived in Houston, Texas. It's pretty racist. It was tough being an Indian kid, a third world kid living in a first world.
I don't mean to interrupt, but was the only sign that you were Indian your parents? Because you were, from my knowledge, a baby when you came here.
I was a baby when I came in.
Did you have an accent? Nah,
I didn't have an accent. Basically, my parents... we decided, for some reason, they decided to live in a super white part of Texas in Houston. So it's really just white kids and black kids. And then there was me, and they couldn't tell what I was.
Yeah, you were trapped in the middle.
I was I'm Indian. I'm not going to say I'm something else, And so I got in a lot of fights, a lot of bullies, learned how to fight and changed my name because I wanted to avoid all that stuff. And then I ended up deciding I wanted to go back to my real name soon. When my book comes out, it's called Winning by Osmosis. It'll be out in the next few months. And basically Skilla, where that came from is during high school, my friends, they would just call me Ted. Everyone had a nickname. And they said, you need a nickname because it's just weird just calling you Ted, So they said the back of my head, see, I'll tell you right here, see the back of my head, super flat.
Oh, so it's like a skillet, they're saying?
Yeah, so basically they said, you got hit. Yeah, so, I wear hats because the back of my head's flat. So they said, hey, you look like you got hit by a frying pan in the back of your head. And so they started calling me Ted Skillet. And that was my name for a long time. And then Tom called me Skills, for short. And so...
Tom from Myspace, just to...
Myspace Tom.
Yeah.
Called me Skills for short for a long time. And so a lot of people call me Skills. And then somehow that turned into Skilla. Which is like, I don't know, kind of cool.
It's more street.
It's
a fire gift to get from Tom from Myspace.
I am a bit street, and it's quite surprising for some people. I grew up in the Bay, and it was pretty crazy there. So
it's cool for somebody that's in tech, to be a little street.
Were you always a rock star, or were you at some point just like a little Indian guy working in MySpace? And then boom, you're like, you know what? Now that I've made it, I'm gonna get a little more cool.
No, I was always. I don't know if I was cool, but I always thought I was. So.
Right. Which already makes technically
an
puts you
Indian
in
guy in MySpace. Ted Skilla. Yeah, you kind of have to have confidence.
Yeah, because I think basically growing up in the Bay, being around lots of dangerous people and shit like that, it just kind of built some swag, And so I was always like kind of like that. Didn't really hang around with Indian kids growing up. Didn't really have a lot of Indian people around me growing up as well. Just my parents, And I didn't actually grow up around many relatives either. So I wasn't really exposed to the culture as much as I'd liked to have been.
And you pick up that culture and character.
Picked it up, yeah. So it's funny because even today when I meet people, they don't know what I am, but a lot of people think I'm part black.
I thought you were black.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Can you say, are you legally allowed to say the N-word?
Well, I'm pretty fucking dark, so
right. I think that the police would say yes.
I wouldn't test it. Yeah.
I wouldn't test it.
So I wouldn't test it, but I have. A lot of people think I'm like part black. I think a lot of it has to do with, I guess, the way I dress and my energy and the way
Well, you just swag, don't portray yourself as what a character of an Indian man would be, right? So you're definitely breaking, the internet's mold and stereotype of, oh, this guy's not Indian.
Like, it's just weird, right? I grew up in New York, and I also didn't hang out with much Ukrainian kids. I also grew up in a very weird neighborhood. It was a lot of a predominantly black school, and I picked up a lot of character, and it molded me to who I am today. And I still have those mannerisms, and I still, associate.
Val's black, by the way. Val's the blackest person in this room.
Black Val.
But yeah, but it creates that character, and then you just. I think it becomes a cultural thing because of how we are raised in America and it's urban culture.
Yeah. Well, we don't culture. I guess, do you think of yourself as white? I mean, I'm an immigrant, but I'm not I guess I'm white. I'm Russian Jew. Like,
I don't
like
like
I
to
said, in
consider
the eyes of whatever's going on in this country, yeah, I'm white.
But in the eyes of like, am I Ohio white?
From a photograph, on a photograph,
On a photograph, maybe.
Yeah, and then you open your mouth and you're like, Jesus Christ, this fucking Malibu's most wanted.
Yeah, so it was hard being Indian, you know, because people were just, it was just strange. And Indiana Jones talking about eating monkey brains and shit, you know, so it was a bit tough. But then we started to be more acceptable, and people were into Kundalini and yoga and meditation and, you know, pranayama, which is breath work, and like all this other stuff from India started being really relevant and cool. So I was like, okay, all this stuff, all these modalities from India are really great. And then spirituality became important. And then all of a sudden we started running every major tech company in the world. And then now I'm wearing beads and stuff, and I'm extra Indian just to compensate for it because we're trending at the moment.
Yeah, you used to hide it a little, right?
In Texas, you wouldn't wear those beads.
In Texas, I was wearing beads. You know, what happened to that?
If people ask me, like, yo, this is an Indian gang, don't mess with us.
It's a gang. We are. It's a lot. There's like
Don't
2
make
billion
me-
strong.
You ever watched Indian drill rap?
No, it's
Yo,
not.
What?
It's the best, honestly.
Indian what?
Indian drill rap.
No.
I own a barbershop in New York, and one of my coworkers is Indian. So we have a joke that constantly goes around. He says, like, if something goes well, he goes, "Good job, Punjab." That's what he says.
It's a great slogan.
Is that part of the rap?
It's that we were creating a rap, but we're still working on it. I'll resume on that later.
Bollywood is the biggest film industry in the world, right? So
Dude,
they're
the
all about entertainment, and then music is huge too. It's probably the biggest music industry in the world as well. But it's like Indian music and stuff like that. Shit that we
You
haven't
guys put
heard.
up numbers.
Yeah,
You're
a lot
next
of
to like
numbers.
second up to next to like Chinese people in terms of world domination.
I think so, but I also feel that those numbers are fucked. You know,
What do you mean by that? Like
I don't think, how are they doing a census? You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to gauge.
Right, you just kind of look at like one of those trains and from India, and you're like, there's definitely more than what they're saying.
There's a lot of people born that no one knows
A
about.
lot of
Right.
people. Like a lot. Because if you look at some of the videos I watch from just the food-like videos, you see the amount of people that go through these streets. I'm like, oh my God.
So you look at like any footage of India, and you're like, yo, there's a lot of people. Then they can't all be the smartest, right?
Sure.
In the sense of how society's broken down, right? You need ditch diggers too. But then when you come to America, right, it's almost like the expectation from Indians, from like Asians, from like Jews is like, yo, you're going to have to be number one. Did you feel that pressure?
Yeah, I did. I felt that pressure from my parents too, and I think it's a good thing because, and I try to understand like why Indians were so focused on this, but culturally we're academics. Like we have a really big focus, a lot of pressure on getting good grades while we're in school, like not just good, but like the best. And also at the same time, I don't know. I really didn't have control over this, but I really wanted to learn how to play musical instruments, and I wanted to be more coordinated. I wanted to play sports. My parents didn't let me because math was most important. That was really the focus for me.
Right.
Could not learn musical instruments, and I really wanted to, and I feel like, whatever. These K therapies I'm doing right now are really helping me through that. I feel like I'm a musician already. It's so funny.
Do you feel like the K therapy is like a therapy for you for the fact that you couldn't do what you wanted to do when you were younger?
Yeah, but I think the parents look at it as like, we did the right thing. Look at what we produce. Look at this guy.
Sure.
Like, right? They'll be like, see,
Well,
that's why you
because
didn't get to play the French horn, my man, because you wouldn't be able to lead a tech company.
Yeah, I have no regrets. My parents did a great job.
Good.
I used to get my ass kicked all the time,
Same.
which is really great.
The best.
I think for me, and I'm not saying I'm going to do that with my kids, but I'm just saying that, I think I am the way I am based on, everything I've experienced. And I have
A little
no
child
regrets.
abuse is okay.
Yeah, a little
I mean, you
bit.
got abused into the
You
top
gotta be
1%,
scared.
my brother.
It's like scared
I don't know what to
straight.
tell you.
It's been
It's
great.
just like scared straight. Like your mom knows that, like,
I had all my teeth, so it was fine.
There's nothing to complain about. You get beat into being the top 1%, I'll take it all
Right.
day.
Yeah.
Beat me all you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I should go get in a fight. Just kidding.
You know when you're young and you're growing up and you have that
Are you
feeling?
saying that because I'm not young anymore?
No, I'm not saying
good.
that. You look great. You look younger than us, actually.
yeah, seriously.
I was going to say that...
Is there a word for Indian don't crack? Like black don't cry?
It's kind of like the same shit.
Yeah, that's where
it's not
they get
really
lumped
that,
together.
It's
at
like
that
I do a
point.
lot to maintain my youth. It's a lot. I'm not like doing blood transfusions with children or anything like that. But I think. Sorry, Brian. I also feel that I think that there's a lot. It's a lot we can control. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke anything. I don't do any recreational drugs. Mushroom's not a drug. I just shroom. I fast mostly. I eat once a day. I'm carnivore. I don't eat vegetables.
But were you like this when you were coming up? Or is this the life of a guy that's made it, right? Where it's like, oh, now you can properly take care of yourself.
Sure.
But when you were coming up, were you sleeping at the office on the floor, eating McDonald's, being like, we need this to make it before I can go and get pampered, right? There's no cold plunges when you're like,
Yeah. I felt that all of this stuff that I've learned over the last, 10 years, I think I would have done it if I didn't have any money either. I just think that it's more of, we just as a society didn't know shit, like we were eating fucked up shit all the time. We're starting to learn now. They found microplastics in testicles now and shit. It's fucking crazy, so shit like that, like we didn't know, but we're becoming more aware. And that I think is going to make a big change for everyone. Like the stuff that I do doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, just being aware. So
I agree with that.
Fasting saves you money.
I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, you guys complain. I'm like, stop eating after 8
You
p.m.
can't do fasting without all the other shit, because if I just fasted, I would be hungry and angry. I would have nothing else to balance me out. I don't think I could fast.
Why? You think because the food makes you happy is what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. Food makes me...
What makes me happy is feeling the results of something a day after.
I hate myself the minute after I eat. But leading up to it, the excitement,
But you see,
it's like sex, right? The minute I come, I'm like, ew, what am I doing? Right? There's I have post-nut clarity with food.
Yeah.
But it's so good when I'm just shoveling my face.
It depends on what you're eating too.
Just like pussy, I don't
Going
really
back,
care.
if I was going to ask you, when you were younger, did you always know that you were going to get into tech?
I did, because I lived in Silicon Valley. So I was part of the .com boom. I was part of a bunch of companies that did well or failed or whatever, just kind of, around. So my first jobs after college or during college were in that spectrum, in the .com boom.
Do you know how to code and all that shit?
Right.
Did you have to do
no,
all that shit?
I had a marketing degree. So,
sick.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not like a engineer or anything like that. Product, yeah, but not.
So you're a sales guy, technically.
Well, marketing, business development, yeah. So I ran the revenue side of every, the company. Last company I built and sold, I was a CEO chairman, but head of revenue and head of product also. So
sick.
You get it kind of drains your soul a little bit, selling.
Right.
It depends on what you sell, right?
Yep. He's like, yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
What are you selling?
You've obviously, no career is littered with successes only, right? The defining moments are usually when something fails. Mm-hmm. Whatever first failure you ever were a part of, what made you realize this wasn't that bad and I could just go and try again? Because I think a lot of people, especially me sometimes, I'm just like, yo, I have doomsday thoughts where I'm like, no, I'm just gonna live with my parents, I guess, if this all falls apart.
I mean, it's just fundamental shit, right? I'll take you back to macking on hoes, right? Talking to girls and shit. It's just kind of you talk to a few, you get rejected, you just keep going, and then all of a sudden you get accepted, and you get you get momentum, and all of that stuff is the same with anything you do, anything you attempt. It's basically the same thing. Now, on the business side, and there's so many attempts and failures, and it's the ratio is I don't know, it's pretty high. It's 10, 20 to 1, something like that on stuff we try that, now it gets easier because we have a lot of experience, right? So anything we try now, the chances for it to work are a lot better because we just know what not to do.
Right. And your network grew and everything else.
The network grew. It's all about the network. So for me, this book that I'm writing is called Winning by Osmosis, and it's basically a practical guide to show people how to create winner circles and keep themselves the smallest in the group, and also just have understand how osmosis works. And it's really, you could absorb winning energy, you could absorb losing energy, you could be absorbing people's bad habits and good habits and all this stuff too, and also ideas. So everything that I've done entrepreneurially, I've been in winner circles, and all the ideas have come from osmosis. So I never thought about taking a company public on my own. That was fucking crazy. I never thought about buying companies without any cash, doing roll-ups with zero cash. didn't even know that was a thing. I never
What
knew
does
how
that
to
even
sell
mean?
a dream.
It means that you don't have to use your own money.
You don't have to use any money. Yeah, it's crazy. And then didn't know how to sell dreams. You know, what was his fucking dream? What are you talking about? You know, understanding how to do that all came from people that were around me, and it taught me all this stuff.
You're clearly a serial entrepreneur. Is there something that you want to achieve that you haven't?
From an entrepreneurial standpoint?
From I guess a standpoint of like, have you given the world everything yet, or are you like, yo, there's this one thing this is what's driving me still. Like I'm retired, right? I saw your fucking, what is that, Rolls Royce outside? I don't even know anything about cars.
It's a Phantom.
It's a Phantom, right? To most of the entire world, you've made it. Do you feel like you've made it or finished?
No, and that's the thing. It's like, no matter where you get to, you don't feel like you made it, right? And it's like, it's not about greed, or it's not about what is it, when is enough. And we're talking about like all kinds of things, like spiritually. I think I'm on the right path, and this year has been, you know, the biggest movement for me personally, like so much change personally and spiritually. I'm like now on the right path. You know, I felt like I wasn't before, but now I feel like I really am. Now there's a lot I want to accomplish this year from that perspective. Now on the business side, business doesn't define my character. It's not that important to me. I do what I do. I make money. It's fine, you know, but I want to live my life Like life is the most important thing, and you got to live in today. You got to live in this moment, and you can't really truly express gratitude until you're actually present. Now we have to teach people how to be present because they don't really understand what that means, right. You know? So that's a big part of it. Now, entrepreneurially, I think that, you know, at the moment, I'm always trying to solve certain types of problems that add, you know, tremendous value to whoever it is that we're serving. And I think that's our mantra. We want to add as much value as we can to any partnership, friendship, relationship, client, customer, anyone, without expecting a lot in return. So we always want it to be lopsided. We always want to be adding tremendous value, and, you know, we're not looking for a lot in return. And eventually what happens is you're so valuable that it becomes a huge commercial opportunity later on, but that's not our thesis, you know?
Right.
Our mission is, so now if I could find a sector, find something where, one, there's some roads paved, meaning I could fast follow someone and do a little bit better. That's one of the criteria that I look for. And two, it's got to be something that's so compelling for me that I know, and it's a good mission for me to be a part of. I only want to be part of stuff that I feel adds tremendous value and I feel really passionate about. And the market might be a little underserved. So I'm kind of like in this zone of being available for that opportunity to come. And it's going to take some time for me.
Right.
And it hasn't come yet.
But
I'm on a break. I'm on a sabbatical.
Right.
I think everyone in life wants to achieve to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right, is the option to choose. Because I think most of our society, that's, I think, going to be the uphill battle for what I think that you want mass people to attain, right? Is like, you are an outlier. You're a very unique human being. For you to be able to find your inner peace, you can choose to take a sabbatical, right? And for someone who's like babysitting 3 jobs, it's really hard to be like, life is great sometimes, or to appreciate life, right? Sure. I always said it, is unless you're very successful or, you know, have a mental handicap.
So I have businesses that do really well, and they've been around for quite some time.
Right.
They're non-tech businesses, and they pay the bills, and they, you know, we're actually scaling them, and they're growing and they're doing great, but they're not like stuff that solves a lot of problems, right. You know, potentially. I mean, some of them are, but, you know, what I mean is like the bigger mission, you know, like the next big thing. And that's going to take some time to figure out. And I think I just want to be open and receptive, and it'll come to me, and I'll have that itch, and let's go. I took 2 companies public, and I'm not going to throw that experience away.
Right.
Are you still currently part of it?
No, we merged a year and a half ago into something. That's where I left.
Oh, wow. But yeah. Engage is basically a solution for marketing, right?
Yeah, it was an ad exchange, basically. So digital advertising.
But is it based on the AI model?
It started off with algorithms to help publishers monetize their ad inventory better to increase yield. But it turned into, we started leveraging AI and machine learning models to basically make the decision. All decisioning was made by AI and machine learning at the end. Because it was, it just made more sense because our data points were not enough, you know? So we were creating algorithms to make decisions. And so the AI and the machine learning actually replaced the algorithms.
And it's crazy because technically
increased yield significantly.
Technically, you guys started using AI before AI started going crazy.
At the time we called it machine learning. That's part of it. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Was it hard to structure something like this?
No, I mean, once you have so much data, what do you do with it? And you get to figure out it's not too crazy.
It's crazy.
Can we just talk about the most important thing?
Sure.
Tell me the fucking MySpace story. Were you there from day one? I know you mentioned your friend Tom, but I think we're all friends with Tom at one point, right? Yeah. But it's kind of wild when someone says Tom, you're like, oh, it's Tom.
Yeah.
And Tom's notorious for having that famous meme that he just kind of left the world alone, didn't become problematic, and just cashed out to become like some fucking photographer.
Yeah.
But tell me your MySpace.
He's actually he's not a photographer anymore. He is, he kind of gave that up for a while. He just decided to do other things and just kind of chill, and he's retired and he just wants to play golf.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think.
I think he's done with golf.
He went opposite of you a little bit. He started the photography after he was done with his career.
He's like, nah, not for me. But how'd you get involved? How'd you get into MySpace? And just tell me that. That's so interesting.
I met Tom in 2004, and I met him in a nightclub, basically.
Did you introduce yourself as Ted Skilla?
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's so funny. And then so we just became friends, pretty early. And then I was coming out of Lower My Bills, which was another, a company that we ended up selling to Experian. And I was doing sales for a long time in business development, and it was just selling these mortgage banks, these consumer lending products. And it was not something that you feel really
accomplished about or fulfilled by.
Yeah, it was a good transaction though when we sold it to Experian. It was great. And then I was friends with Tom, and I said, hey, you know what? I want to do something different. I want to do something else. And Tom said, we're going to do these launch parties for MySpace. So there was a fit there, and I felt that it was something that was completely different. Let's leverage in my marketing background for something like this. And then so I stepped away from business development, got into marketing. We started launching MySpace all over the world, all over the country first, and then did a bunch of other deals like with record labels to acquire exclusive content. So for example, Pharrell, he'll be dropping an album, a month out from now. We'll have him perform the entire album on top of the ArcLight parking lot, the rooftop, and have all his friends, like Pharrell and friends, basically. It would be Clips and Snoop and everyone else. And we actually did this. I shot this, and we put it out on MySpace 2-3 weeks before the album dropped. So if you wanted to see and hear the album, you'd have to come to MySpace. So drove a lot of exclusive eyeballs and traffic as a result of those content acquisition deals. It was a lot of fun. So it became launch parties and stuff like that initially with then we had Vegas events with DJ AM and it was all these guys, that were, everybody knows, at the time it was Steve Aoki and, so many others that were. I mean,
you guys were the hottest social media platform and the only one, fun. Right?
So it's biggest,
it was so much fun. And we did that and kind of evolved into, a bigger marketing, role, and it just ended up being just the thing. And then at MySpace, so the earn-out ended in 2008. That's when everyone pretty much left. And I left at the time too, but I had blessing from the management team to build a technology that could help MySpace monetize its ad inventory better. Essentially, MySpace had 7 billion ads a day. They were going under monetized. So I said, hey, I want to build a technology, MySpace, I want MySpace to be my first client. I said, cool, awesome. So I left, and MySpace was my first client. We built this technology, launched it.
When you say build this technology, you're the marketing guy, how you want to sell it. But what do? You just gather this little network of coders and start a little company?
I ended up finding a rock star rocket scientist, ended up being my CTO, and he had, a master's and he had a PhD actually too. He had a master's in computer science and a PhD in computer science. It was really one of the smartest people you can find, and so he shared the vision, put it together, and wrote all the code for the ad serving, very specific to what our vision was, and launched MySpace as a pilot and just fucking crushed. And then we got the top 500 and top 1,000 ComScore publishers within the first year. We're profitable from the first month, kept going, didn't raise any money, not even debt, did about a couple $100 million in revenue before we raised a single dollar, and then it was all in the IPO. took it public, and then raised a bunch of money over time. So it was a lot of fun, and Tom was on the board of that company as well.
Oh, wow.
No shit.
After MySpace, you said 2008, everybody left MySpace, you said, right?
Original team, yeah.
And when a company like that, right, like when somebody like Tom steps away from it, or the company gets sold, or he exits, and right now MySpace is not existing technically, right?
It's not someone else owns it.
MySpace is still around. A company called Specific Media bought it from News Corp years ago, and then Specific Media ended up having an IPO, changed their name to Viant, and then they're listed on the NASDAQ, I believe, and they started off like a $3-4 billion market cap. Now they're down to like, I don't know, it's got to be like under 50 million or something like that. But they own the asset still, and I've reached out to them over the past 7 years to try to buy it back.
You're waiting for the Detroit pricing.
You just want, all I want is the domain. I don't want anything else,
How much is that domain worth?
I don't really know what it's worth because there's not a lot of traffic anymore, but they think they want to sell the whole thing. They think the data is relevant. It's like 20 years old. They think the
my MySpace page is still around.
Half those people are dead.
No one can log in though.
No, I can't log in, but I still have my pictures up there.
Everyone asks me how to get into the MySpace still, and it's just, I can't even get in myself.
Is it that valuable? Because when I had a MySpace page, I liked completely different things. So like now that you have data on a guy who grew up to be a completely different person.
But that's what he's saying. Yeah,
right. It's just kind of useless.
I don't think it's valuable.
But old stuffy 90-year-old white people don't know how the internet works and thinks that the value is there, right? That they're like overpricing it, where you're like, guys, come on, dude.
I don't think it's useful at all, actually, and I don't understand why they won't sell it. So
I know you said in a couple like interviews that News Corp ruined MySpace. Mm-hmm. I remember MySpace, and I remember leaving MySpace for some reason. I don't remember why. Like if you told me why Instagram sucks, I could tell you, right?
Sure.
We've all, I think, enough of the world has experienced. We know algorithms and all this shit, but back then, what made MySpace fall?
As soon as we got acquired, they did actually a 180-degree flip on us, meaning they didn't want to basically empower us. They wanted to deflate the expenses, and they wanted to increase the revenue, right?
Kind of like the Steve Aoki parties. Fuck?
No, we don't spend money. We didn't spend money on any of that stuff. And basically, it was a classic private equity kind of play where lean it out, more revenue, the whole thing. So what they did was hiring freeze. We couldn't hire any engineers to keep up with all the traffic. And we had so much traffic every day that we're the biggest traffic. I mean, we had more traffic than Google at a certain point. It was so much traffic that the user experience was compromised because there was so much. It was starting to get really slow, and also the ads were creating malware. So they decided to multiply the ad units, add a lot more ad units on the site, which polluted the site with, made it feel so much more commercial. But then the ad units were generating malware. They were injecting malware through the ad. So the experience was becoming dangerous. People just got tired of it over time, and then Facebook just opened up to the whole world, at that moment, and that's when they had their kind of a moment of taking over, and they did basically. That was
Facebook was kind of smart in running their place like a nightclub.
Yeah,
they were like, yo, just a few colleges at a time.
But see, that's the problem.
They fine tuned it, but I mean, everything goes to shit, right? Everything, you can live too long.
Yeah, you lose it. It does happen, and unfortunately, it was really sad for us. But it's, it was a different thing, and when we left in 2008 than what it was when we first started. It could have been the biggest thing in the world, and it was at a certain point. Could have been, if we didn't sell it at that moment, then we had, a sale was forced. There was a parent company that forced a sale, but I think, next chapter, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm a fucking Jew, so I have to ask, did you get a fat check when you guys got booted?
I mean, I think everyone did pretty well, from that standpoint. I think. Did
you make a dumb purchase with it? Did you have your what was the purchase you made that made your mother upset?
There was a Lower My Bills exit, made money on that, and there was MySpace, and then the next one was basically, it was the company I started, so. But I didn't raise any outside capital, so we used our own capital.
But you didn't have any moment like when I do something dumb. My mom freaks out if I order Postmates.
Sure.
Did you have one where she's like
houses, cars, all that stuff? Yeah, I'm just like whatever. It's like fine.
What do your parents do?
So my mom was an accountant by trade, and then she had an accounting degree, and then my father was a mechanical engineer for a really long time, and he did really well in the stock market. Companies that he was a part of went public, 2 of them. So he retired from that pretty early, and then maybe in his late 40s, and then he ended up becoming a real estate broker for the last 35 years.
Oh, really?
Nice.
He was just like, I'm just going to do this for fun, basically. Just talk to people.
That's it. And he's still doing, and he's like almost 80 and he won't stop, so.
Good for him.
I think that's his thing, he just wants to work, so.
Oh, sick.
So I have like my work ethic and stuff comes from them.
I mean, Pops started having leverage on what he wants to do early on too. So I guess.
Oh yeah, 2 smart parents like that, you can't even get away with nothing at home.
It was crazy. I left home at 16, never went back.
Damn.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I have a brother. He's 9 years younger than me.
Oh, I thought you meant 9. I was like, damn.
I was like, that's a big difference.
Your parents
He's 39. Yeah, he's 39.
What does he do? Successful?
He's in tech, so he worked for me for about 14 years or so. 13, 14 years, and he has his own has his own tech company now.
You think there's future in tech sales? Like, let's say if I wanted to go start doing tech sales and I'm really good at sales.
But what does that mean? You want to start doing tech sales? Explain to me, like, is Val going to have to just pick up the phone and be like, hi, I'm selling, what am I selling and to who?
Well, there's a mission, right? There's whatever department or whatever it is, there's obviously you have to nurture some clients, or you just got to show up, entertain them, keep them around, right?
Well,
that's part of it.
It depends on what you're selling. If you're selling enterprise software, then, you have a target list of companies who could be your potential clients, and then you're just reaching out to them through all different ways, whether it's through email or calling them, figuring that out, a variety of different methods to reach out and cold reach them, or if it's warm intro from someone else. I don't know. It's a full spectrum.
That shit sounds hard.
It is a lot of work.
It's one thing when like I'm selling T-shirts to morons. It's like such an easy sell because it's $24. But for you to have to like lock down crazy deals like that,
raise your price
just
point.
the amount of dick sucking you have to do, right? Like I see my boys in New York like literally don't have a social life because on Monday through Wednesday they're entertaining the same client no matter what that guy wants to do just so he can get the sale.
If you're coming from a Google corner, like, and you have something to give, they're like, oh, this guy's from Google, they're going to want to talk to you. But if you're coming from some startup company, then obviously it's a way crazier uphill battle.
I'm just saying, it sounds, sounds really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I did it for a really long time, and it's just, I wouldn't do it again, hire salespeople for that, but yeah.
Val, sell me this pen.
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
Pen doesn't sell no more, brother. The other day I was signing something, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what the hell? I forgot how to write.
Yeah, it's hard to write.
Yeah, I sign with my finger only now
What the
on
fuck
the
is this?
screens.
I'm like, pen? I'm writing in all capitals. I can't even write script anymore. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
It's crazy.
People tell me to journal. Like,
the journal thing is a weird one.
For who?
Like just coming home and just writing down everything you did. Don't you think do you want a journal?
No.
Yeah. It sounds so,
like his responses to
journaling
this.
sounds so,
He said,
like, egotistical. And I guess it's supposed to help, but at the same time, you're like, this is what I did today. And one day this will help people or something.
So I think, there's maybe let's talk about this now. It's like the whole spectrum of inner work, right? You have talk therapy, you have journaling, you have, all this other stuff, meditation, all the, you're listening to podcasts, all this other stuff.
This is a sense of like therapy, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it is. And then on the other spectrum, you have like all this other stuff like K therapies and other, mushroom journeys and all this other stuff, right? Like full spectrum. And then these people, they're, and I don't think it's bad. I think it's really great if you do anything, to do inner work or self work. Talk therapy plus journaling is a common thing. They're doing this stuff all the time. Everyone I know, a lot of women are doing a lot of journaling. They're just journaling all day,
Well, they used to have diaries. It's like
but I can't, it's like a diary, right? Yeah, but I can't like,
I love how he said, they're just journaling all day.
Right.
Yeah, they are. They're like journaling morning, fucking afternoon, and then
That's
nighttime.
a lot of,
fucking journaling. It's a lot of paper.
Homework at
It's a lot of books.
Might as well write a book already.
I can barely like write a birthday card to someone. I'm gonna like pour my feelings out to my like cry. When you have like.
And are you gonna read it yourself?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, do they read it?
That's even more crazy. Do you know how crazy, obsessed with yourself you have to be that you go back and reread your journals?
Not gonna lie though.
That's like watching my own story, which I do all the time.
Or are they hoping for someone else to find the journal?
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, if you like shoot up a school and then you're like, let's go through those journals.
For an ADD mind, refining your day, like if like me writing out my day, it does help me a little more.
You just said you don't even know how to write.
I mean, I'm trying to learn again. I'm trying to relearn.
So wait, you're doing
would you
this
do it?
morning, noon, Night.
No,
Would you dump it
I'm not
onto like
consistent with it.
AI assistant, like an Alexa, like Alexa?
It's not effective.
So today I had maybe I could talk to something that then transcribes it.
It doesn't work when you're writing. A kind of.
I also don't want to snitch on myself. Like one day something happens to me, someone goes through and they're like,
"Hey, the girls are writing bad stuff into the journal."
The thing about a therapist, at least you're like, yo, this person hopefully just dies with this information. But like the minute I put pen to paper, you're like, bro, I'm gonna lie in this journal more than I'm gonna tell the truth, because like God forbid somebody finds my real thoughts, right? Like, can you be honest enough to leave evidence?
I mean, Anne Frank did, right?
Anne Frank, bro. Anne Frank had nothing going on.
I don't want to read anyone's journals, but I'm saying, like, if there's a film to be made, that could be kind of cool to, to go through a bunch of women's journals and see what the fuck they're writing.
My favorite thing about when he was talking about when he changed his tone and said, "It's just journaling all day." Like, I mean, it's just like I can't.
I know these. My ex-girlfriend is fucking journaling all day now. It's a thing, and I'm just wondering what the fuck she's writing. It'd be really interesting to know.
Probably all lies. It's all lies.
I'm not gonna steal someone's fucking journal to read.
Yeah, it's not cool, right?
It's not something I would do.
I would. I would love to read someone's journals.
I was leading you into that. Yeah.
Well, Jews are sneaky.
Me and my girl had a little journaling journey. Actually, like should we be like, babe, let's let's plan out our together. Day. No, not like fucking for side by side. She'd be like, you want to try this out? This new thing. Let's journal.
How quickly did you lie? I would have lied day one.
No, I didn't lie. I actually was trying to take it serious. It's not easy for me.
I also just reading it, I'm like, girl, stop being gay. Like, what are you complaining about? Like, oh wow.
I don't complain.
I had a hard day at work.
It's more like a positive
sandwich.
Thing.
Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, my feelings? Like, oh, I wish I cared more about people dying in the world. Like,
look, like a guy like you, right? All the things you have to balance, all these companies, all these meetings, all these like just so much stuff going on in day-to-day basis. How would you organize your schedule?
Yeah, it's kind of routine. I have stuff, I have a pretty good team, so team handles a lot of stuff. My priority is really just my life, really stuff that defines my character, things that are important to me. So that kind of really makes my priority super simple. And, business is business and it is what it is. And I think if I was early in entrepreneurship, like it was, starting out, obviously that'd be a huge priority for me, but it just isn't anymore. For me, it's just, I just want to be, and I'm not like 75, but I'm just saying, like, I want to be focused on the shit that matters in life for me. And that is priority to the stuff that defines my character, which is health, wellness, fitness, spirituality, sleep, family, friendships, and experiences. That's like the most, I think that's the stuff that's most important. And how do you do that while you're still trying to make money? It's kind of like, those are the things that are most important. And then all the stuff, the other stuff, just kind of falls in place, We all want to be successful. We want to be accomplished. I think the definition of all that changes over time, but now it's a lot more important. It's value driven. So my definition of accomplishment and success is based on how much value I can deliver to whoever it is that my target is, from that standpoint. And then eventually you just have faith that you deliver so much value, you just become valuable, and then your business grows. So that's the reason for the business, as opposed to let's build something that makes money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I realized a long time ago that the fulfillment really just comes from elevating other people rather than doing anything for myself. I can go get another car, another house, another whatever, and it doesn't really work.
Do you know Neil Brennan?
No, sounds familiar.
So Neil Brennan's a comedian who did a dope special he used to be the head writer of Chappelle's Show. Mm-hmm. Wrote Half Baked with Dave. He was like Dave's best friend. Mm-hmm. He did a cool comedy special on Netflix called 3 Mics. The first one, 3 mics on stage. He'd go to one, tell like 5 minutes of like one-liners, and they were like silly. Then the next mic, he'd go over and do like 5 minutes of storytelling. And then the middle mic, he'd like broke down the wall and just talked about himself, and being the fact that he takes ketamine to basically find fulfillment or any like real, I don't know what he's searching for, because he says everything that he's ever attained kind of just falls through him.
Same thing. I feel the same way. I feel like anything I do for myself, it's short-lived, right? Like, oh, exciting. I got a new house, or I got a new car, or I got a new whatever.
Is that depression?
No, it's not depression.
The minute you achieve it, do you
No,
already
before
bored
you
with
achieve
it?
you're already on the next one.
Like like I get so hyped on
Sure.
doing things. The minute I get to the thing I'm about to do,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm over it already.
Right, because we're chasing the wrong thing. The fulfillment, it's the wrong kind of fulfillment. The inverse of that is you're delivering value for people, and that is the mission. And then eventually, you become very valuable because your why is different instead of why of, hey, I need to get rich, or I need to make enough money to support my healthy lifestyle or shit like that, right? What is that? That's me, right? And the reality of it is we really don't get fulfillment from me. We don't get it.
I agree with that.
Because me becomes lonely too.
My mission is really just that. It's just like, you can call me anytime. People call me all the time. I help people that are in really crazy situations, like depression cycles, like these loops, depression loops, suicidal, all kinds of stuff, to get them out of that state. And I feel honored and blessed that I have opportunities like that to help people. And that's the places where I really thrive, and I think I deliver a lot more value in that area. And I think that my presence is justified, meaning I am here for something very specific, and I've helped a lot of people, and I feel that I'm not a piece of shit. I am productive from that standpoint, from others' perspective, not just for my own well-being and reason.
I feel that way too. Like, I don't take it to the level that you do, but even a close-knit circle that I have in, let's say, New York, even guys that were not working out, not taking care of themselves, not eating correct, not thinking in a better way. Mm-hmm. That feeling of like elevating those guys, and they're like hitting me, they're like, yo, I started working out because of you. I started feeling better. Yeah. And that feeling alone, I'm like, wow. Because then I become proud of myself too.
It's interesting that you mentioned ketamine, and I think that it's a nice segue. I think that we have we don't really know too much about it, but we have 30 years of science that shows what it does.
Do you go do this at home, or is it you kind of do it in a clinic? How does it work?
The first ones I've done are like about 7 of them with a clinic called Better You. I do those at home, and they're lozenge based. So it's a lozenge. You keep it in your mouth for about 15 minutes, and then you spit it all out. And then within those 15 minutes, you're like, put on a sleep mask, headphones, and you're gone in a very specific playlist that really is provocative, of thought.
So it's not a party drug.
No, I mean, well,
like
I mean,
it
I've
is
never
if someone
done it
does it,
recreationally.
because I've only done it once and got put in a K-hole by my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I've never done it recreationally. So this is a very different perspective. It's usually a doctor or a therapist or both that are there. And then the other version, which I just recently did, I've done 5. I'm doing the 6th one tomorrow, and it's IV infusion, and it's this clinic called Golden Afternoon in Santa Monica, and it's unbelievable as far as the results that I have friends with me that come and they do them at the same time. And these people are, some of them, my assistant particularly is a completely different person now. Right. And all for the good, it's really great. He had this social anxiety. He was in his depression loops, and he's completely different. He's just out there macking on girls like all day long now. It's really crazy. It's really insane.
Well, what are you using this to fix?
I'm not using it to fix much. It did really help me through my last breakup. I went through a breakup in December. It accelerated that, which was really incredible. But outside of that, I was really just soul searching, or what we call subconscious diving. I was trying to figure out what's going on in my subconscious. I learned some really incredible things about myself, and that gave me a lot more confidence and faith in my ability to move forward, just in general. So I understand that I have mental resilience, which is very rare. It's a new thing the doctor told me, so it's kind of cool.
What does that mean?
So I'll give you an example. So I'm in this journey, and the music, I'm listening to a playlist. My phone's on airplane mode, right? Halfway through the journey, I'm at 30 minutes deep. All of a sudden, the screen, you don't have your eyes open, but the screen goes dark, like black, like fully black, right? That's the apex, and it's highly euphoric. You're like in this crazy euphoria, and this is the apex of the journey. It's just like your peak of the journey, right? The screen goes black, and sometimes it does. And then that's when, everything's going to start to like evolve. The imagery and all this stuff's going to change into something else. And so I open my eyes and I don't see anything. It's still black, and nothing is changing. And all of a sudden the music shuts off. And then so a couple minutes go by. I can't hear anything. I can't see anything, and I'm thinking I'm dead in the journey. I think I died or something, right? So then all of a sudden, and I remember this in the journey, I was thinking about, man, I wish I was listening to these other songs, because there's some songs that are really great for this. It's like, fuck, man, I wish I was listening to that instead of this playlist. And then what happens is 2 minutes later, the music starts again. And the music starts again. I'm playing the exact songs that I want to hear, but I've modified the songs. The songs are stretched to the choruses, the melodies
like sleepwalking, essentially? Like, was your body doing
my
things?
brain created the music.
The music.
So it's pretty interesting. So then the balance of the journey, I'm listening to everything I want to listen to.
Is it all original music?
No, it's all music from another playlist, but it's modified. So the melodies are slightly different. The choruses are stronger. I'm only listening to the parts of the songs that I like the most. Imagery changes and all this stuff. Anyways, I have a really great journey. So I unpack it with the doctor afterwards, and I'm talking to her about all this stuff, and she says that, you know what? This is very rare, because this happens to other people in these K therapies, and they freak the fuck out. When the music stops, they start freaking out, and then they have a bad trip or a bad journey. They're just like irate, and they're just like, fuck, what's going on? The batteries die in the headphones, or like playlist ends, or something happens, right. And it happens every single time. And she says it never happens like this, that she's never heard anyone create their own playlist in their head or create their own music in their head. And then she told me that I have a very rare strength in its mental resilience. I'm able to like just go through any situation, just adapt and make it better, right? What was really interesting was make it better than it would have been on if it would have continued, so that I used that opportunity to make it ideal or make it just so much better than a better experience. If the playlist would have kept playing, it would have played, but it wouldn't play the songs that I wanted to hear.
Right. So you originally wanted to hear
your own piece.
I created my own piece. Yeah, right. So that happened. Now, one thing about the previous one,
you remember all the journeys,
I remember
right?
every
It's not
single
like
thing.
a dream where it's like...
I remember every part of them.
I remember my dreams like AI does like photos where like shit's still messed up, 7 fingers.
That's crazy.
Those are my dreams.
So then the third journey, basically, I heard this low battery thing in my fucking headphones, Please charge your battery immediately, in the headphones. And I'm just like hearing this thing throughout the journey. I'm just like, at first I had a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, fuck, I don't want my music. They're mine. They're my
I was going to say, I would have slapped the fucking doctor.
I know, they're mine. And it was crazy. So then I hear this. I'm like, I'm just like, fuck, man, this is going to die before my journey ends, I like, how much time do I have left? Like, I have 5 minutes.
Are you
10 minutes,
like immobile essentially?
No, you're flat. You're laying on a bed.
So you can't be like, there's nothing. You're kind of like what, like paralyzed?
No, you're just like fucking stuck, and you're just like, God damn it, this sucks.
Man.
This is
that
a
could
shitty
be
situation.
A crazy.
At one point, I thought it was part of the music. I thought it was a sample. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I had faith that it was just going to last the whole time. And what it did was it helped me through the anxiety of this minutia bullshit, alarm bells and urgencies that we have in our lives that really cause these weird anxieties. Like something like that, low battery, all this shit that causes anxiety,
It's like Chinese water torture.
It's fucked up. Yeah, it's Chinese water torture. Anyways, so I was laughing in my journey at a certain point every time I heard it. And I was like, oh, this is hilarious. This is so funny. And it's part of the music now. And I went through it and I was like, and by the way, I got through it and my headphones didn't die. I went through the whole journey. It was fine. And I told her about that too. And she said, yeah, that is really also, that would freak somebody else out. And that just didn't freak me out. So anyways,
I would think that was my heart talking to me. Be like, battery's almost dead. It'd be like, excuse me? You telling me my expiration date?
In that state, it's... Yeah.
Bro, I would...
After she told me, she said, you have this really rare mental resilience where you've been through wars, you've been through fire, and you just come out and that you're going to be fine because you're going to figure it out, and not only are you going to figure it out, you're going to be better than where you were before every single time. So it's kind of like one door opens or one door closes, another door opens, but then that another door is the better door, right? So that's basically what my brain is convinced, and it performs that way. My brain actually performs that way. So now
you're saying that it rewires your brain completely to stay that way.
Exactly. Is it technically an addiction?
No, it's not. It's not addictive the way that we do it.
I mean, the feeling of hearing my lady hype me up and all these visions I'm having, I'd be like, plug me back in.
But I think it's not that. I think it's a program that you run into your brain. And then...
Right, but how often are you doing this?
Every 48 hours.
Excuse me? Yeah.
There's no
addiction.
No, there's no addiction. No, there's a 6. There's
You're
a
addicted
series.
to the feeling.
Basically, the science shows that you do 6 of them, and you do them every 48 hours. And the reason why is because you're
you're not doing every 48 hours like now.
No.
That's okay.
Just 6.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it's just only 6.
Oh, then that's not an addiction. I thought you meant like, hey, every
you
Tuesday,
just do 6,
Thursday, Saturday, I'm taking
6,
this.
you're done. The reason why the 48 hours is because your receptors are open in your brain, and it expands neuroplasticity to do it within that time where the receptors are still open. So it creates new neural pathways, neural network connections, spawns neurogenesis, and it expands neuroplasticity. So it's incredible for your brain. And it's fantastic. It's like a cognitive supplement, basically, the way we do it. And so the science is fantastic for it. So my 6th one is tomorrow. I'm going to call you guys up, let you know how it goes.
Please.
It's going to be so good. And then you're going to be like, I need to try this too.
Making me think about that, actually.
My fear is taking this and having this moment of
having
clarity,
to break up with your girl.
and then look at my girl and be like, yeah, I'm better now. I don't need this shit. Like, you know what I mean? You went in one side as a Ted. What did you come out the other side as?
I came out severely enlightened. Okay, like let me expand on that a little bit. So basically, during the journeys, right? We feel a lot of emotion. So we feel anything from like regret, guilt, pain, even jealousy, like all kinds of emotions. You feel all of them through the journey. Now, I truly believe that these are emotions that we were supposed to feel in real life. However, we're so suppressed and oppressed. Sometimes we're suppressed by our wiring. We don't understand the wiring, right? One of my friends, a very close friend of mine, has never felt love in his life until a journey, one of these journeys. He's adopted, felt that his real parents abandoned him, never let his adopted parents in. Every girlfriend he's had, he's never actually felt love for them. Never let them in because every single person that he wanted to potentially let in, he wouldn't let in because he felt that
they're going to abandon him,
right?
Yeah.
So he's felt the same thing. So in his journeys, he started understanding how love felt. He felt the love, and then he fixed his relationship with his mom, his adopted mom, because he realized that she loved him, and all she wanted was to love him. He never loved him back. He never loved her back because he didn't understand why he couldn't love people until he figured out that it was because of his abandonment issues. Fixed all that. Now he's like extremely emotional and sees himself in love and wants to be in love, wants nothing more but to be in love. So some of the stuff that we have never felt, or we have felt but not felt frequently, these things, you feel them. When you're in your subconscious traveling, people are like, what are you looking for? What's there? Trauma. Everyone says trauma. It's not trauma. It's emotion. You find emotion that you haven't felt in so long, or you have never felt, or you need to feel now, but somehow in your real life, you're oppressing it or suppressing it, or sometimes it's there because of your wiring.
The way you're saying it, it makes sense to me. Like,
Sure.
There's other things that people say that I'm just like, all right, this is nonsense.
I think it's very, very effective, and it just completely resets you, and helps you understand yourself. By the way, what is this? It's a deep meditation. At the end of the day, it's a medically enhanced meditation. So if you meditate regularly, I practice TM, I meditate twice a day. I've been meditating for a long time. I think that this is just another format of getting deeper in your meditation.
My deep meditation is running, but obviously that's intense.
No, I can't do that.
Like if you're running 10 miles, sooner or later you block everything out, and you just, all you focus is on your heartbeat and your thoughts, and you're reflecting.
Sure.
But the issue is why people can't rewire themselves and rebuild their brains is because they're afraid to reflect. Reflecting, like you said, creates urgency, creates anxiety.
Sure.
So a lot of people
we
can't
need
face
the
that.
drugs. I want the drugs. I don't want to be running and be like, that's why him and I ran a 5K. I just did it as like, let me see if I can do this shit. And this kid comes up to me at the beginning. He's like, yo, you want to hit my joint? And I'm like, what? You run high? And Val's like, yo, people run high because they can't be alone with their thoughts. And I thank God Val was next to me so that we like bullshitted. I was more out of breath by talking the whole time. But I totally understand I don't want to be alone and reflective while I'm doing, like when I walk or run, like I'll call someone. I don't even want to be alone in my head. So that's why I need.
Yeah, you need to be. And see, that's a prime example because I was a similar way before. I just kind of always needed some people around me, and because I didn't want to be left with myself, and I was afraid of, it's exactly that self-reflection. Like I was afraid of what I was going to find, I was afraid that I was going to like myself, At the end of the day, once you do all the self inspection, it's really inspection and reflection. You start really understanding that at the end of it, you don't really need anything else, nothing exogenous. Look, I wear beads, dude. You know, like I'm a simple guy. I don't really need anything.
There's a phantom in our
Hey,
driveway.
listen, let's not talk about that.
I don't really need much.
I'm a car guy. Okay,
I don't need much, but just listen, a few colors.
I'm a simple man.
just one.
Colors are so sick.
Yeah, I got one. It's all muted out.
That's part of your therapy too. That car brings a lot of peace.
Mine's pretty dope. I like it too. But I would say RDB did mine. They did a fantastic job. But I would focus on introspective stuff, less exogenous, more endogenous. What that means is when you have yourself, meaning you know that you got your own back, right? Because you understand yourself, you know yourself so well that you know you got your own back, right? A lot of people don't know themselves. They don't know if they're going to have their own back, which is fucking crazy if you think about it.
Can't
right?
survive. Can I survive?
Yeah, you don't need all this external shit. People wearing all this crazy jewelry. You don't need, all these people around you all the time that you don't really. You don't need those
drain
people.
your energy.
You don't need all this shit, And so when you're around these people, the focus should be adding value because you're a contributor, not taking from them. Because a lot of people, they need to be alone. They don't need to be alone, but they need to be. They're always focused on being around people because they need stuff from them.
Bloodsucker.
But you see what he's talking about? To build that abundance of that kind of energy, you need to be really in a good place.
Yeah, your brain is arguably the most important muscle in your body.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? And it's like no matter how good you look, if your brain isn't fit, it's fucked.
And why do we have these triggers? Why don't we unwire them? How do we do that? When we get into the deep meditative state, you can figure all that shit out, unwire your triggers, prevent certain behavior, because we all have it. Certain behavior that we don't like about ourselves that happens based on triggers. You could unwire that whole thing. You could change all of that stuff.
All this with ketamine?
In your subconscious. Yes, all that with ketamine.
Oh
but by the way, not just that, mushroom journeys too.
I was just about to say.
They make me poop too much.
Shroom journeys with the actual, with a
you do the
therapist
actual
or a shaman.
or the chocolates?
I own a shroom company, so we make chocolates. Yeah, chocolates, gummies, capsules. Yeah, but we don't use that for the journeys. The journeys are actual mushrooms, and with a shaman. So I think the K therapy is a good segue into that. I think I haven't been ready to do a mushroom journey. I haven't done one yet because I can't let go. But with the ketamine therapies, I've been forced to surrender, and I know how to let go, and I surrender now. So I think I'm ready for the next phase with it, which is the mushroom journeys. Now, ayahuasca, I don't need it. I haven't been called. I'm not, I know people that have done a lot of these ceremonies and stuff, but I'm not a proponent of that. I think the science around K therapies is fantastic. The science around mushroom journeys is fantastic too. Right. And I'll do anything the science supports. I
drink tequila, right? Like arguably poison, right? So why not? And tequila doesn't bring me any, besides momentary joy and then 2 days of regret. At least this can have me come out the other side
different.
Maybe journaling.
No, I wouldn't say journaling, but I think
ketamine made me gay, guys.
It would, who knows, possibly.
Dude, that's my biggest. Imagine you just come out. I don't think of ketamine by ayahuasca. You could come out a different human, right? You could be like, I want to be.
I think it's consistent with a lot of people trying to resolve some trauma.
Right.
I don't really have that. I'm just soul searching, I'm just diving my subconscious to see what's there. It's a bit different.
A lot of people are doing this because they want to come out of something. Yeah. You're doing this because you've achieved so much that you're looking for more. And you're trying to see what's there outside of jewelry, outside of cars, outside of houses.
Exactly.
There's only been a few people in my life that I've met that get to a certain point of success where they're like, oh, it's not the cars. It's not the houses. It's not the watches. It's not the friendships. I want to go see what else is there, and you are the definition of that.
Right. Thanks, man.
But not a lot of people get there.
The people that you're around will determine your path, and so you got to be really careful because you end up where either you want to go or you don't want to go.
Very well-adjusted male. You will do really well at our parties here.
Do you believe?
Yeah, because it's just like what every girl also wants to hear. It's great. You're like a successful dude, good-looking.
A lot of women will find that a threat, though. Yes, they would. Because when a man is so centered and so calm, a lot of women, it puts them out of their...
He's speaking their language too a little bit because they're like...
Yeah, they get attracted to it.
No, because he's in control over his emotions too, which means this dude's not going to fucking strangle me, right? Or hurt, right? Yeah. They're like, this man is the modern man.
Right, but initially it's attractive. They love it. But once you're around it, you get threatened by it.
I think, my perspective about dating in LA, and I just did a relationship podcast the other day. We're talking about this, and basically I've had really incredible experiences dating in LA. I always find the best fucking people. And a big part of it is like, if you look at me, if you go on, like my Instagram or whatever, you see, like, I'm just talking,
Right.
I'm not trying to compete in that world. I can't compete in that world, but the world I can compete in is here, so I want people to be receptive to that. And I want to meet people that are intellectually stimulated and also stimulating. And my filter, that's basically my filter, right? So all these gold diggers and sugar babies and all these girls, they come, they see, they're not interested. I'm not that kind of guy, I'm not the kind of ideal target, So I have really good luck, with dating in LA. It's been
You are
great.
what you attract, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be who you want to attract.
It's a tough gig because you have to be consistent, and a lot of humans have an issue with consistency.
Yeah, so you have multiple identities.
Waking up every day and doubling down on yesterday's thoughts, and it's not an easy move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just also hard to be in this town if you're still working on yourself, whether, financially, emotionally, everything is like, I feel this town is just like either you're a stepping stone or you're stepping on someone. I feel like it's so transactional in this town, right? I didn't experience gold digging in New York. I didn't experience all this.
No, but I could say New York is pretty bad too.
Really?
Yeah, because people want to. Everybody wants to see your.
You've only lived on the West Coast?
I lived in New York for a bit.
You did?
Mm-hmm. And New Jersey.
Where in Jersey?
As a kid.
Where?
Jersey was like what? Elmwood Park or something.
Okay. I grew up in Jersey.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, really? This is a fucking dirtbag.
Your hat has no consistency with Jersey.
No, not at all. Hey, dude. I am what I am, right? If this fucking ketamine makes me come out the other side a nice guy, I'm hitting you up for a check.
You know what sucks about you is that you are a nice guy.
Yeah,
but you want to not be a nice guy really bad.
But let me ask you, you were talking about how, like you are very generous with your time for people and friends, and you constantly want to, you want to give more than you take. You're a man of stature. You're a man of, enough of a history that people know exactly what you've done and how you've done it. How often do people ask you for money?
I always say the same thing. There's a gentleman by the name of Chase Harrow. Have you heard of him?
No.
Chase Harrow is a very successful crypto entrepreneur. He's probably worth $500 million now. He's based in Florida. Nice kid. He asked me for money in 2014. He came to me and he asked me for $20,000 for a loan. I said, no, I'm not going to give you any money, but I'm going to teach you how to hunt. And so we had a marketing agency at the time, or ad network. I taught him how to do what he needed to do, and he's making $1 million a month within 30 days. And there was no turning back since then. He talks about me on all his public stages every time he's speaking. He references this situation.
Can you teach me how to hunt?
It was a different era at this time.
I would ask them that question this entire podcast.
I feel like it's the same thing. It's basically, you can give people money, but it doesn't help them. You teach people how to make money. Correct. It's a different story. Yeah. You give them the tools and it'll be long term. You give them money, it's gone.
I agree.
It's the same thing I've done for anyone else. I just don't give people money. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a fucking waste.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I just assume that people are like, "Hey, Ted, I got this problem."
No, I have people from high school hitting me up for, "Hey, I can't make my mortgage payment or my rent. I need your help." And
look, I have to change my fucking name because of you guys.
Yeah, people see, and they do see it. They see a lot other value besides, like, oh, he's a potential lender or whatever it is. Like I'm more of a mentor potentially for them. They could ask me how to do certain things and I'll show them how to do them. I think that there's a lot more value. And by the way, there is no fulfillment in me giving anyone any money. There's fulfillment in me helping them get to the next stage of their life.
Most people asking for money are very what are the like short thinkers or whatever.
Well, I would say that, but Chase took it and ran. He ran with it, and he did really well. And he continues to crush. He's out of control now.
All the family members in Ukraine, they watch us out here. They'll see pictures or this and that and the third, and they think the money grows on trees. But if you were to say they ask for $3,000, and you're like, hey, let me maybe explain to you how to make that $3,000. They don't want that. They want the quick $3,000.
They're like, I need to solve this right now. Thanks for the enlightenment, right? But some people are like, I need this Band-Aid right now. I don't have time to like Chase ran with it because hopefully, it wasn't a do or die situation at 20 grand, right?
Yeah.
Well, but most people who ask for $5,000 are like, I need the $5,000 tomorrow.
It was a do or die situation for him. But as far as Ukraine now, I have the same thing because I have a bunch of employees over there, right? And so I understand how it is over there. It's a totally different climate. They're in a fucking war, and it's so hard for them. It's really hard. I've sent a lot of money there, and I'm happy to continue to do it because for them, it's really hard to make money.
I mean, in this scenario, yeah, but I'm talking about even outside of the war,
outside of the war,
where it's like a cousin calling and he's like, "Hey, can I get 3,000?" But he has marble floors in his house and I don't, so I don't understand where the money's coming from if he doesn't have the money. You know what I mean? It just becomes kind of like I don't need to learn. I'd rather just get the money.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try the ketamine thing. I think my girl will freak out and won't do it because she's scared of being changed. I'm like, you can only get better.
No, you can only get better. Yeah. So it's, for the IV drip, it's Golden Afternoon in Santa Monica, and then the lozenge based one, they're in West Hollywood, but they do telehealth, so you can get them at home. And you can just do them yourself.
Hell no, I ain't doing that shit without like a doctor in the room. Yeah, with fucking hear your low battery and I have a heart attack and die.
No, it's that one. That other clinic for the lozenge based one is called Better You.
You got to tell us about your brand because I would love to grab some chocolates from you.
Yeah, so just send me your address. I'll ship it to you. But it's called Asante, and basically it's a biodynamic supplement brand for about 7 years. So we have about 25 different products that are all formulated by me and stuff that I need. Like our sleep aid is so great. You guys know Jeff Beecher?
Yeah.
So Jeff was on Ambien and Xanax for like 20 years, and I got him off of that with my sleep aid. He loves it. So sleep aid's really great, and it's all natural, and we have all kinds of other stuff like joint support and anti-inflammatory products and
I need joint support.
I went down the path of like figuring out shrooms. I stopped drinking like 5 years ago. Never drank much anyways. I just felt that I just wanted to be more fit and more lean. So let's quit alcohol. And I wanted to be able to say that I'll never drink again for the rest of my life, and said it. So haven't had a drop of alcohol for 5 years. And I think it's gross now, like I would never drink again. But, so I went down the rabbit hole. One of my friends told me that, hey, you should start microdosing shrooms. And I said, you know what? I don't do drugs. So no, I'm not going to do it. And he said, you're not ignorant, dude. Here, read all this stuff. So he gave me a bunch of science, and he said, and I said, hey, I read it. And I said, there's no reason why I shouldn't be doing this. It's unbelievable for your brain. It's great. It's like the best so it's the best like brain supplement, essentially, right? Cognitive supplements. So I started trying everyone's products and went down the road, and everything was so inconsistent. You'd feel different every time. And then I said, why? I started talking to the guys that own these products and asked them. And they said, you know why it's so inconsistent? Because we get different strains every time, because we get different deals on strains. So I said, okay, what's a strain? So I started figuring out strains, and I found out that an albino penis envy here that was cultivated in LA, or one in Brazil, or one in Japan, or one in like...
What's called? Albino penis envy?
Albino penis envy is a strain.
You can't just fucking say that and move on like, what?
Yeah. Albino penis envy is a strain, a mushroom strain. It's a spore, very specific spore. So basically, you could cultivate this strain anywhere in the world, and I could tell you how you're going to feel every single time. You have a predictable outcome every single time. The efficacy might be a little bit different, but I could tell you how you're going to feel. You're going to be super euphoric. You're going to have body high. You're not going to have an anxious finish. Like when you come down, it's just going to be smooth. You don't have any like strange.
This is just a fucking mushroom, right?
This is and now other mushrooms, other shroom strains that we have explored and created products from. One called Be Positive, which is a high energy strain, makes you feel like you want to work out. It's that crazy. Creates a really strong mind-body connection when you're working out. People want that for a workout, so we have capsules for that. Another strain, Golden Teacher, very common. Titanic, another common strain.
That sounds terrifying.
So sick.
Titanic, yeah. Maquila Gorilla, which is another kind of albino penis envy cross strain.
He honestly reminds me of an albino penis envy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I'm albino and I have penis envy.
Yeah, so it's a bit
It's a cool name though.
Also,
like,
Maquila
I know
Gorilla.
I don't want to sound immature, but
Gorilla,
it's just funny.
I wanted to create a gummy that would replace a cocktail. So what I did was I started to understand the mushrooms. So in the cap, you have all the psychedelic stuff, right? In the cap of the mushroom, you have all this introspective visuals, all that stuff happening in there. In the stem, you just the body high, social, you become super social, and your mood is enhanced, right? So why don't I use the stems? We use the stems, and we put it in a gummy form. So the gummies are 300 milligrams or 0.3, and you just feel super happy, mood elevated, and you feel a little bit of body high in a public setting, like very, very public. So people are like really kind of freaked out about doing shrooms around people, right?
Yep.
So I made it so you can, and you would rather do this than drinking. So it's really great. The gummies are really awesome. And then the chocolates are really the whole mushroom, but it has lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail, cordyceps, chaga, maca, all of the adaptogens, and 72% dark chocolate. So you get the delivery of the psilocybin with the endorphin rush of the chocolates, and lion's mane and turkey tail combined with psilocybin make you feel like you're levitating. So it's a really, really different and great experience for the chocolates. I tell people, if you haven't had shroom sex, it's the most incredible thing invented ever, shroom sex. And basically, the chocolates are really great for that. And then we have different capsules for different
Never had
strains.
shroom sex, have you?
Yeah, it's insane.
Every time I've gotten shrooms, my stomach hurts, and the last thing I want to do.
Yeah, we'll get you some different ones, and there's a reason why that happens. So, go back to shroom sex. The reason why shroom sex is so incredible is because if you're having sex with a person that you like and you want to build a connection with, what the shrooms do is they open your heart, and also they stop time. So time stops, and your heart's open, and you have. Basically, you're building a connection with someone, and your nerves are really bright, and your nerve endings are really, really sharp, bright. So you feel everything like 10 times more. So it's like really, really intimate and highly, highly euphoric at the same time. And then your heart's open, so you're creating this deep connection with this person. Right. It's not like MDMA sex, which is totally different, but it's really good.
Yeah, like me and my girl, like we have a strong connection. It was insane. That was my first time I've ever had it.
What brand?
I forgot the name.
I can look it up.
But
my girlfriend gets
insane,
it from like Denver.
Insanely good quality though.
Sure.
It was the first time I actually ate a chocolate, and I was like, wow, this is really.
I'll give you some.
Yeah, I would love to try some of the stuff that you just mentioned. It sounds insane, and it sounds like you put a lot of effort into perfecting it.
Yeah,
because you really
consistent every single time. You feel the same way. There's no difference. So the evolution of the product, I think, is all these other guys like Polka Dot and everyone else. They use different strains all the time. It's like the worst shit ever, And
but they're just like hustlers.
And then they just blame it on your brain. They're like, you were in a different mood. That's why, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
But the issues with those companies, they're not there for what you just did.
They're commercialized.
It's not the mood. I'll tell you could be in a spiral. So I have another book at the end of the year that I'm working on. It's called the Microdosing Guide: How to Dose Out of Any Situation. So basically, it's not the shrooms. It's the strain and it's the dose. So I could dose you out of a depression spiral with a step dose, methodology. They'll give you a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then you're all of a sudden, you're like happy as fuck, not spiraling into a deeper depression. Because if you take the wrong dose, then you can be worse, than you were when you started.
You become too much introspective.
Too introspective. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you got to work on the body high, and then you get step up. And then I've gotten a lot of people off SSRIs too. I have a step up protocol for that. Antidepressants.
You seem like a little bit of a shaman.
A little bit. Yeah.
I've had a lot of charlatans in my life. Right. But they always just show up in like a shitty car. So you can't really trust them. Like, I trust you, right? I trust you. No, because you're successful, right? There's a level of trust. Like, this man's educated, this man's smart, right? Like, you're a reliable source.
He's basically saying it's like talking to a Navy SEAL.
I've heard a lot of people talk to me about ketamine. You've been the most eloquent one enough to make me go, oh, okay, maybe I do need this.
He's just saying a lot of the people that do bring the enlightenment into the room are usually living in like an RV somewhere, an abandoned
right, and park. It's hard to take enlightenment from a person doing worse than you.
Right.
And not only that,
versus someone aspirationally like, well, he's got it figured out. Versus it's like a fat person telling you how to work out. You're like, bro,
I think I mean, people you need to qualify people based on their their experience, and I think that at the end of the day, we really just want to be around people and take advice from people that are in a position of mentorship somehow, meaning they're really good at what they fucking do, versus someone who can't show that. I think that's really key. So that's why I wanted to go down the K therapy path, like do all the lozenge-based ones, do the IV-based ones. And the next one's going to be intramuscular, which is a shot in your muscle. And I'll do that one as well so I can have content around it and explain the differences.
That's some cool shit.
Yeah.
When I was going through a rough time, I had a few bad concussions, and it was called PCS. It's called post-concussive syndrome, where you get rocked out pretty hard and you can't bounce back. You start feeling like you're hungover every day for like a year straight. 2 years. Basically, the symptoms of concussion last for a while.
How'd you get it?
A few repetitive concussions, and then I was in a very depressed state.
How'd you get it?
Sports. fights, stupid things.
It's kind of like CTE a little bit.
It felt like it because you basically are begging to be like, why am I not feeling like my old self? But you're constantly in a depressed state and you feel like you're hungover 24/7. So you're just trying to figure out why this is happening to you. And I did a lot of research, and at that time they were saying that people were doing K therapy, especially for people that have CTE and have those problems, because the gray matter gets...
Yeah, so the other thing about, and it's interesting you talk about gray matter, is because ketamine is one of the only things that shows to clear out gray matter and reactivate those parts of your brain, which is unbelievable.
He said that it's very hard to regenerate new neurons in your brain. And they're saying that the ketamine is what creates new pathways so that more cells can start generating, because as we age, it's a harder time. That's why when they say you get concussions later on in your life, it's hard to bounce back from that, especially brain injuries, because your neurons stop growing or interacting with other neurons.
Yeah, there's a science around it. Besides the whole, the whole therapeutic side of it, the actual physical aspect of it, which is clearing gray matter is profound on its own by itself.
I'm sold.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go do this.
But
it's true.
Do this.
They say it's impossible.
$3,600 to like change my brain. I'm ready.
You got to understand.
40 years of it not being allowed to like.
So what's the difference between us and and it's funny because the last journey I had, Elon Musk was in it, and I was kind of like on the same wavelength as him, some weird, strange way. Like I felt like we're similar. We are connected through some other people, but I think that
you were in the same room with him. You mean
in my journey,
in your brain, you envisioned Elon?
Yeah, in my journey, we're talking about Elon Musk, and like he was there. He was doing K therapies too. But at the end of the day, the difference between Elon Musk, myself, you, a person on the street, a gardener, the main reason why I did this K therapy mission was I wanted a mindset reboot. I wanted my mindset to be able to, I wanted to see myself. I've always had this vision of myself in the next destination before I get there, right? See myself in the destination. Over the last 2 years, running a public company was really, really tough. I lost my vision. I lost the vision of myself in this next destination. Right. So I wanted to be able to see myself, and I did through one of the journeys, see myself in a place not winning, but already have won, meaning final destination, done, already won. All paths lead to that road. To that destination. Whatever speed bumps, whatever obstacles, whatever I see in my way now, they're all a part of that road.
Right.
And that road will lead to me at the end of this journey, already have won. And so I wanted to be able to see myself that, and I got my vision back as a result of this. And all of this was for mindset.
I'm lacking that too. I'm having an issue with that. Like I feel like in my mid-20s and my early 20s, I had a really good vision of where I wanted to be and how it looks. But for some reason, as of recently, I have like a block.
Well, it's your 20s. You're just more carefree, so your vision is like untarnished, right? Still, like you're like, oh, it's whatever. It's there. I'm still 20. In your 30s, you start being like, oh, fuck. Like I know myself better. I got to figure my shit out still.
Like I know myself better now.
I'm almost 40.
And I'm more confident and I know exactly what things need to look like, but my vision is just not there.
I got my vision back.
And that's the hardest
part of it.
Because once you lose that, you kind of, you start getting a little lost in the sauce.
Oh, there's no direction. That vision is your direction. Yeah. That's like your beacon. That's like where you're traveling towards. And if you have no beacon, you don't know where you're going towards. You're just floating around. And by the way, when you're floating around, you're in a very vulnerable state. Being vulnerable is a strength, but this is not the kind of vulnerability I'm talking about.
Correct.
This is the area where directionless people are easily directed by those that you don't necessarily want directing you.
It's not the best spot to be in, for sure. When you lose direction or you lose that vision or you lose a mission, like of what you want,
exactly,
it becomes a problem. Major problem.
Yeah. Easy to get back though, quickly.
Do you want to plug anything? I know you've got 2 books in the works.
Yeah, I got 4 working on right now, but 2 this year.
I need to get on ketamine. This guy's writing 4 books.
This guy is writing 4 books. I'm over here.
Val can't even write his name.
Barely planning my fucking schedule.
Yeah, so the supplement brand is Asante, which is au-sante.com. Or just Asante.
What does that mean? Because I've heard of Asante.
Yeah, that's what it is. It means to your health in French.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a toast? It's a toast?
To your health in
French.
Cool. I think I've heard, yeah.
Basically, if you want access to mushrooms, basically there's an email address or just submit there and just hit that email and we'll send you a password and referral code for the shroom site. And then on the other side, basically I own a credit repair agency. Credit repair is big right now. It's been an agency of ours for 18 years. when we sold lower my bills to Experian, we reversed engineer credit repair. So it's fantastic. That's Erase.
What do I just got to log in and see how bad my credit is? And you guys will help me fix it?
Yeah, it's called Erase.la. And then
leave it up to an Indian to repair people's credit.
yeah, and then the Golden Afternoon, as I mentioned, Santa Monica, the ketamine therapy clinic. They're fantastic. They don't pay us for anything. We just love them. And then Better You, which is a lozenge based ketamine therapy clinic here in West Hollywood.
Beast.
I feel like I just went to therapy.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
thank you, man.
Very centered guy.
Yeah.
Very centered guy.
You could ask me anything on Instagram. It's at Ted Skilla.
You're just gonna have a bunch of hitting you up now. People be like, "Can I borrow 20 grand? You want to clap us out?" Dude,
yes,
that was awesome.
It was a pleasure
having you on. I really want to do that shit. Like, not even kidding. Like, I really.
Me too. You actually.
I'll be completely terrified during the whole until I do
so
one.
Great.
And
so
then
good.
Afterwards, I think
we're doing one tomorrow. You want to come?
I can't. I gotta go to New York.
Yeah, Better You.
Yeah.